In this video, I'm going to go over how to use small-sided games or the constraints-led approach to develop movement solutions within dinking. If you're looking for the explanation, context as to how this came about, and other videos in the series, stick around for the end of the video. This video is brought to you by Vuori. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. I'm going to get right into it because I know that's what most people want. Okay, so in this game, we have player A here, which in this example is Alex, and then we have player B, myself. So in the very first game, we have very clear roles. We have player A and player B, and there's no attacking. Player A knows that they're receiving the ball in the exact same spot from player B. It is in the center of that box. That does not mean player A has to stay in the center. It just means that they know where the ball is going every single time. And player A can move their response or their dink around wherever they want on player B. The intention for player A is to move the opponent around. Also experimenting with volleys versus off the bounce dinks and creating openings. The intention for player B is understanding the different use cases for when to use a half volley versus a volley or a step back dink. The reason why player A has a constraint that they do is because, one, it gives them an advantage. It makes it so that the game, as far as what they're receiving, is predictable. And that allows them to focus less on position and anticipating where the ball will go versus focusing their attention solely on moving the opponent around and creating openings. And then as the game progresses, we'll begin to even it out. Player B's target is to always put the ball in that center spot on that side of the court in that square. Meanwhile, player A is able to move the dink wherever they want onto player B. So player B is not only focused on that target, but they're also focused on the footwork, their response, their different movements, and the different solutions that they come up with. So in this game, I didn't set any winning conditions. It was basically just set a timer for 10 minutes and just play this out. As soon as someone makes an unforced error, reset. So if you wanted to add win conditions, you could be like, if you get the person off the line, if they have to take a step off the line significantly, that could be a win condition. If you cause an unforced error, that's of course a win condition too. And then you can also set advancing conditions within the game so that the game doesn't just automatically reset each time, but if you get them off the line, then the game opens up to attacking. Once the person comes off the line, the game is open to lobs, attacks. There's different ways you can advance the game and create different winning conditions. Once you finish game one, you'll move on to game two, which is just switching sides. Same exact constraints and rules for the game. Now you're just switching roles. Oh. 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 Oh, where is she? Where is she? Dude. For game three, in this particular session, what I did is I opened it up to player A can attack. So they can attack out of the air, off the bounce, but then player B could not initiate an attack. So some of the things that I was thinking about during the game is when you add attacking, what we're exploring is determining when is the highest probability for the attack. Is it when the person is out of position? Is it when the person may have lingered too far onto one side without resetting back to the center? You're just looking for different openings, and those openings can vary based on who you're playing against. Also, what I wanted to work on was disguising attacks with dinks, especially off the bounce. The attack could look very similar to a dink. And then something else I was trying to look for in these attacks was the targets. So every now and then setting up the attack to target where the individual is not. The way I structured this game is just based on what I needed to work on, what I needed to focus my attention and intention on. However, that can always vary depending on who's playing the game and what you want to work on. So for me and my footwork, maybe my constraint is I can't hit volleys or half volleys. And then we see what happens. What if you can't resort to those two movement solutions? Then you end up really needing to watch the other player, their paddle, the ball, and focus on that so you can move your feet sooner than you normally would had you relied on a shot like a half volley. Maybe you want to develop your two-handed backhand, so you set a constraint that you can't use a one-handed backhand, only a two-handed backhand. The reason this game came about is because I was playing with more advanced players, and what I realized is that they were able to move me around much more than I can move them around. They were able to do much more with the ball. And I just happen to have a bad habit of hitting back at the person when I attack, dink, or anything. It's like I would always give the ball back to them versus searching for open court. So games like this helped me realize that 1, I have more time than I thought. 2, how often I was leaving dead balls, how high my balls were over the net, and how useful a half volley is, but also seeing it as maybe the second or third option and not the first. And if you watch the private lesson that I did with Noe in the past, I'm trying to apply Noe's tip on giving the ball more height when you're further back, and so it gives you more time to come in. When you're off balance and being moved around, the best shot is the shot that gets over the net. I'm trying not to go for too much. And a really bad habit I have for myself is not resetting after hitting. In this particular context, what I mean by resetting is not resetting my position. Maybe it's my position of my body or the position of my paddle. So I just wasn't resetting my paddle or my position. Sometimes I would end up lingering on one side after I hit the ball. I would have lazy paddle position, lazy last position. So I'm learning what is the best position for me after I hit. If you've been following the channel, you know I've been exploring different ways to practice and develop skill. A lot of what I've been sharing has come from my former MMA and grappling coach, Greg Souders, who has been working on the CLA approach or ecological dynamics theory for quite some time now. You can find a lot of content online about him, his gym, standard jiu-jitsu, his students, and his methods. He's been on podcasts. There have been other gyms that have invited him out for seminars and teaching. He's also even been included in the book by Rob Gray as well. I've created videos in the past showing ways to practice different situations within pickleball. So if I come back from a tournament or a very competitive match and I realize this particular moment in the game was problematic for me and it's been happening multiple times over, then what I'll do is I'll just take that particular instance and turn that into a game versus trying to go through a practice session which covers anything and everything. Use constraints to not direct people what to do, but instead increase exploration. Here's a quote from Rob Gray. Well-designed constraints guide the performer toward a solution that the coach thinks is more effective than others. They use their knowledge of what an effective solution is, but don't prescribe one for everyone. Let the athlete figure out the specifics themselves. So let me know in the comment section what you're having trouble with, and maybe we can all create a game together because chances are whatever you're having trouble with, someone else is too. Hope you enjoyed the video.